Hello guys, it's your boy Andre back with another video. I'm on a beach. I'm gonna go for a quick swim, but I just have a little thought. Fasting, something that I want to say. Why is Aragorn one of my favorite fictional characters? And what does he symbolize for me? I want to talk about it. And why is like a universal character. Aragorn is like a universal character. It's not just Aragorn, there's many characters like this. And what does they symbolize? And why are they important for us? So like Aragorn, I think for me, it's like he's like this archetype of like a regular dude, like a regular guy. Because you look like the rest of the fellowship, you look at the rest of the fellowship, and you have like Gimli, right? You have like Legolas, you have Gandalf, and so Gandalf is this like a crazy magical power wizard. Frodo is this small sneaky dude, right? Who can like, I mean, he's the main character, right? Like, and Legolas is elf. It's like this immortal, beautiful, like a higher being. And like I think like Aragorn is somewhere in the middle in all those characters. Like he's exactly in the middle. He's like the normal man. He's like the most regular guy in a kind of way. And what is his superpower? What makes him actually the best character in a way, like at least for me, and kind of like I would say the main character, or like the captain of the fellowship, is his will and his heart. He's the symbol of heart. He's the lion heart. He's the courage. He's the symbol of courage. And that courage, it doesn't come from an ego. It's not a courage like, hey, I'm gonna show everybody I'm the best, I'm gonna show everybody I'm the boss. But his courage comes from a place of humility and from a place of love. He has a love for his friends, he has a love for his kingdom, he has a love for his people, and he has a love for what is good. His main aim in his life, his main motivation is to be a good man. That's the only motivation he has. He doesn't care about the money, he doesn't care about the fame, he doesn't care about the whatever it is. The only thing he really cares about is the goodness. He wants to fight for what is good, and that makes him super strong, because his bravery, his courage, and his strength doesn't come from an ego, doesn't come from like selfish, like, oh me, I'm gonna prove myself, I'm gonna be this, I'm gonna do this. His power, his strength comes from, I'm going to sacrifice myself for what's good and for my friends. And that's why he's so powerful. That's why he has that fua. And that's what I want to say. These characters, they symbolize the power of fua. What is fua? There is this meme, you can find it maybe on the internet. There's this meme, fua. The Spanish guy, the South American guy, he's like super drunk, and somebody asked him some questions. I don't know what is it, like what is important in life or something, and he's talking in Spanish, and he's saying that sometimes when you really can't do anything, that this is the real power. That's not about the muscles or whatever, but the real power is this, like when you really can't, when you really feel like you're already giving up, that is too difficult for you, that is too much for you, you have this power deep inside you that is stronger than you. It's like this higher power is the power of spirit, and that's the power of fua, when you can still go even when it's totally difficult and you feel like all your power, all your strength has been already depleted. You just push even harder, and that's the fua. And that's, it's like a meme, but it's actually very deep, and like it's like something that is very important. So and I think this fua is even stronger if you don't have a selfish motivation, because then the fua doesn't really work. But when you have a higher motivation, let's say you run a marathon and you run it for charity for blind kids or something like that, you know what I mean, and you are on kilometer 30 and you can really do it, you can really go more. I think a person who's motivated by hey, I just want to do it for myself, to prove myself, I mean, even that's good, you know, like that's also good. But like someone who has a more like a motivation, hey, I'm doing it for these kids, you know, he's gonna have a stronger fua, he's gonna have the spirit taken over him, taking his pain away, and he will be able to push even harder, because he's not running just for himself, he's running for these kids, he's running for something bigger than him, he's running for a greater good, and this gives you like ultimate power. And so Aragorn, for me, is he's this kind of guy, he's this like a, in the end he's just like a regular dude, he's the human, right? You have dwarves, you have hobbits, you have wizards, you have elves, and then you have this guy, Aragorn, who's basically, he's just a guy, he's a human, but in the end he's like a archetype, he's like a symbol of the human spirit, and that's why he becomes like the kind of like a leader and the king. In the end he becomes the king because he's the regular human guy, you know. And that's, and just being a good guy, just being a good man, you know, a man, you are not being born, you are born being a boy, but a man, you have to make yourself into a man. And it's about doing the right actions even when it's hard, you know, doing the right thing even when it's hard, and always doing the good, always doing the good, not for yourself, you know, but always being a good man. And I think being a good man, like a really like good man, is like the highest achievement you can have in this life. And in the end it doesn't matter how much money you made and what legacy you left, and I don't know, whatever it is, but if you really did your best, if you really did your best, you really put 100 to whatever you were doing, and you really did the best for the people around you, and you really show yourself and express your energy in the best way possible, then you did it, you know, then you achieve it, then you achieve the most important thing, the best thing. And so I think this is what is it about, you know. And then you have these other characters, like for example I think Wolverine is one of those characters, because okay, Wolverine has an adamantium skeleton, he can regenerate, he has these claws and everything, but in the end if you compare him to all the other X-Men, he's just basically a really tough guy, okay? He cannot fly, he doesn't have any lasers out of his eyes, he cannot travel through time, he cannot I don't know, manipulate the metal objects. In the end, if you compare him to other X-Men, he's like the most regular, and he's just like a really tough, and that's his superpower. And so I think he also kind of symbolized like his archetype of a regular man. He's like a archetype of this tough guy who can, just by his sheer will and by his heart, he can pull the rest of the group. He's like this, he's the archetype of a good leader, of a man that sacrifices himself, that can sacrifice himself for his group, for his people. Another one is Guts from Berserk. Guts is also similar. You compare him to all these apostles and all these crazy magical beings that he's fighting, you know, and in the end he's just like a really tough guy. He's just like a really tough, really angry guy. But he's also, not always, because there is some character development with Guts, and I really like that, because he's not always good. He has his shadows, he has his demons, and I think that's very well portrayed in Berserk, how a man is fighting with his shadows. And again, it's like a portrait of this guy who just with his sheer will can make miracles, and in the end he decides to again sacrifice himself for a higher good. He doesn't do it for himself, he doesn't have selfish reasons anymore. In the beginning he's just a mercenary without any reason to live. He's you know, he's like a really like a lost, empty person. But as he gets closer to the band of Hawk, you know, he doesn't fight for himself anymore, he fights for the band of the Hawk, and that makes him in a way more vulnerable, because you know, when you have these people that you like, your enemies, can use them against you and stuff like that. But it also makes him more stronger because he doesn't fight just for himself. If he would just fight for himself, he could just give up and say like fuck it, like why am I doing this, like why do I even live for, like I can just die or whatever, like fuck it. But because he's not doing it for himself anymore, there's this there's this group of friends that he has, and he really cares about them. It's he's just gonna go, because he likes them and is important for him. And so this is what I was want to say. It's like these all archetypes. Why are these characters so popular? Why do we like them so much? Because this archetype we all have in our head. We all have it in ourselves. All these stories, they kind of like repeat themselves. You can see the repeating patterns in every story. That's why it's called archetype, right? And everyone has these archetypes in us. We all have these archetypes in us. And so yeah, it's like, why is it so compelling for us? Because you have this archetype in you, and that archetype wants to be awakened, and not just awakened, it wants to be lived. We are supposed to lift these stories, these fantasy stories. They help us to get through our regular life, because you can kind of embody these characters in your day-to-day life and be like these characters. You don't have to go destroy the ring in the Mordor, or fight with Magneto, or you don't have to go with guts to go in hell and fight demons, but you can use these archetypes as like some kind of help for you today, or to live your everyday life, and it can help you to make hard choices, when you have to make hard choices, and when you have to make a hard decision, and took the less easier and less comfortable path. When you have to do that, you can use these stories to help you navigate these life paths, so I don't know, it can be little things, like let's say, I don't know, like I will give you an example. Let's say you have a decision: should I stay with my friends and drink beers or whatever, or have a fun at the party, or should I go pick up my brother from a football game, and maybe, the easier decision is like, call your brother and tell him to get the bus or something, because you want to have a fun with your friends. I know maybe this is a stupid example, but the good decision, the right decision, and in the moment it can maybe feel harder because you're really having a good time with your friends and you want to drink some more beers, and you know that your brother can actually take a bus, maybe he's old enough, but in the long term you're gonna regret it, because you want to spend this time with your brother, and you want to do this, and you promise him. So you can think like, what would Aragorn do, and Aragorn would go probably to pick up his brother from the football game. So that's just example. Maybe it's a stupid example, but you know what I want to say, and this can really help you, like a lot of people say like, what would Jesus do, like Jesus is the ultimate example. Jesus is the ultimate example. Jesus is the ultimate alpha male. Like, this guy was probably like the nicest person ever. He was just walking around the earth, teaching people. He was feeding them. He was healing them. He was fucking resurrecting their relatives from death. And then what the people did? They killed him, the same people. And what he did? He begged for their forgiveness. He even after that begged for their forgiveness. So that's like, for me, like the ultimate alpha male, the ultimate leader, because even in the nature, like if you look at the chimpanzees, if you look at the monkeys, if you look at the wolves, the alpha male is not the strongest, but of course you have to be strong, because strength is important to survive in the nature. And it also shows like, I don't know, it projects like some kind of physical strength, projects what's inside is outside, you know what I mean? You project what's inside, what's outside. So physical strength is very important, because it also can show some kind of mental strength and some kind of respect to your body and stuff like that. But what I want to say is the most important thing is this empathy that they have. Like the chimpanzees, the alpha male and the alpha female are always like the ones that can empathize very well with the rest of the group, and kind of everybody likes them. They are like the most popular. It's like the most popular ones. The same with the wolves, you know. So it's a lot about that. Okay, guys. So I have to go for my swim because I want to get for a swim. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I know I just finished very fast, but like, yeah, it was just a little thought, guys, about these archetypes and why it's important. But all the archetypes are important. Gandalf is important also. It's the wise wizard. It's like the granddad. It's like the one that understands everyone. That, you know, because he relived it all. It's the wisdom. But that's another talk, you know. We kind of have to embody, and we do embody, consciously or unconsciously. We embody all the archetypes, the good ones and the bad ones. We also have, everybody has a gloom inside us. Gloom, you know, we all have that. We all have a Sauron inside us. We all have a, you know, Sauron is this power. I want a power, you know. We all want a power in a way, you know. It's natural. It's our instinct, you know. It's our lizard instinct, you know. Anyway, guys, Aragorn is really cool. So let's strive to be like him. And this is not just for men. This is for women's also. It's all the same, you know. All these archetypes, you know. It's all the same. It doesn't matter. It's all the same. All right, guys. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and maybe we do some more. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye bye.